So Bovi has gone viral for his new statements in the recent Honest Boss podcast, where he talked about him not hitting his child. And what he said has sparked a lot of people's reactions, and everybody seems to have something to say about Bovi's take on not beating his child, his son breaking his television, and yet him not hitting the child. So guys, one of these things that we have learned to do online is to watch videos to full context and understand the whole situation and the context behind each statement before we analyze it, and that's what we'll be doing today. So we'll check out Bovi's video and we'll see what we can get from it in the whole conversation about parenting. This reminds me of a viral video online about a lady that was breaking something in the mall. As a father, a young dad myself, this is not just going to be me reacting to this, but also a learning process for me too. So guys, let's discuss and let's watch together.
I want to take you back to the point of the digital age and
The analog
age. Like I'm trying to make you see the positive side of it. I mean,
but I do see the positive.
You do see the positive side, right? Because I didn't really hear you like ponder on that
I like
much.
the positive
That's
side.
why I want us to talk more about the positive side. So it don't look like, oh, maybe children of nowadays, they can't be controlled. They are out of...
It's parents who are out of touch more than children. You need to understand that before, in the 50s, 60s, now I'm speaking based on history, I wasn't born then, right? The technological changes, for example, was your radio changed from this shape to this shape. Your TV changed from black and white to color. Your camera changed from black and white to color. So the changes were little, right? And then an era came when you are playing tape. Then they brought a flat disc and said, this is music. And you're like, how? Like there's music in this thing. And then you put it and the music is playing. Then Laserdisc came. Laserdisc didn't last. DVD came. Do you know some people are still not aware today that DVD is outdated? Some homes are still with those devices. You get what I'm saying? Because one day we just realized that with a flash drive, you have your music. Now, without that flash drive, just pick your phone, you have your music. So the changes have been very rapid. That's why it's on the parents to now sit back and say, oh, hold up, what's new? Disruption is the order of the day. What was in vogue yesterday is gone today, and it's affecting everything. Time was when you will rock one song for 2 years. They will say, this song is new. It came out 2 years ago. Now, 2 months ago, they will say that song is old. You get? So, I'm with you when I say parenting is where the work is. Children have not changed. It's parents who need to change, you know? And
So yes, just to add to what Bovi is saying here, and why I agree so much with his take here, is because when we were growing up, we like comparing our own childhood to the childhood of nowadays, how we see parents operate nowadays. And we forget that during our childhood, the parents then most of them didn't even know what they call emotional awareness. Most of them didn't know what they call emotional intelligence. These terms and words became more popular in this modern era, in this Gen Z-ish generation, in this period of time, because we could see that a lot of times, if we remember how our parents raised us, they raised us with there are jokes about the African parents. So a lot of beating, a lot of using force to correct the children, of which it's kind of helped us, or what we saw it as something that was normalized in this side of town. And we forgot that sometimes these things could project themselves and cause some kind of trauma that reflects up in our adulthood. We don't always talk about the traumas that had come with some of the harsh experiences we had due to the harsh parenting. And though it looks like now the parents are softer on the children, we can't not negate the fact that emotional awareness and how to handle children now is actually better, because we are more sensitive to the children's emotions and more sensitive in tune with these children's experiences and how these children will see this when they grow up, other than just beating the child because we are trying to pass aggression or trying to send a message. Even though the Bible says spare the rod and spoil the child, they didn't say overbeat the child or abuse the child. Some of the adults you see today actually went through child abuse as children, violent abuse, not sexual abuse, but violent abuse, of which it reflects in how you see them communicating with other people and you see them acting towards other people, how you see them even communicating with children. So there's a big gap in how parenting was 10, 20 years ago compared to how parenting is now. And we have to just look at it from all sides of the coin, you know? So yeah, let's continue.
You have to change the way you discipline children, because the devices are showing that. My kids used to tell me our last son, who was slow to speech, can speak Russian with a joke. Right? Till my friend who lives in Russia came. And I said, guys, meet my friend. He lives in Russia. And my daughter was like, oh, you live in Russia? Chuchu speaks some Russian. And we were like, come on, go, stop. You say, no. So he greeted Chuchu in Russian and Chuchu answered. And he was like, Then he asked him, can you read the alphabet? Chuchu said yes. And Chuchu read the alphabets from A to Z in Russian. My friend, Naibu boy, Kennedy, and Kennedy was like, bro, I speak Russian, but I don't speak it. Why he was thrilled was that he doesn't speak it in the correct accent. He speaks his Russian with Igbo accent. That Chuchu was getting the pronunciations right. Where did he get it? YouTube. On his own, children now. So it was from then I was like, okay, now we need to really monitor what these kids were
watching.
That was the good aspect. Chuchu, what he loved watching sometimes was videos of cars falling and destroying, anything that's smashing, I'm like, no. This is, so we had to curtail it.
Are you not bothered that your children wouldn't grow up with that culture? Or like Nigerian culture? Yeah.
It's just 2 years ago they moved, and it's not like we're going to live like this forever. It's because of their education we moved, still on the parenting thing. My son went before every of us. Once he was getting into secondary school, I was like, I went to boarding school. I know the effects of boarding. I know the advantages of boarding. But the last thing I will be alive to witness is bullying of my child. Make I not go beat person picking. You get what I'm saying? That's the part I had a problem with growing up.
When he talks about this bullying, it also makes me reflect on my own childhood, because I went to a military school and I was bullied as a child too. I was bullied as a child. In fact, as an adult, these traumas of your childhood experiences, they reflect. You think about them, and there are some things that you wish never happened to you, or you wish other people didn't do this to you. So there's a mental effect on these things on your children, and every parent want their child to have the best experience so far. So now, as a parent, now understand some things that some parents were doing and why some parents were overprotective towards their children. So I can relate to whatever Bovi is saying here, because you see, bullying doesn't just leave a negative experience on the child at that point in time. The child is almost scarred for life, because those traumas reflect on the child's adulthood. So it's okay to protect your children from bullying. And the Nigerian boarding school system, there's very little sensitization and very little sensitivity towards how these children are handled in school and how other seniors take advantage of these children. Mind you, abroad also, children are also being bullied abroad, but it's more controlled and more curtailed. The society there makes it a little bit more controlled, other than here. We've seen cases of children that were unalived as a result of seniors bullying the child. We've seen those cases happen here in Nigeria, and not just in any local school, in high elite schools, high profile schools. So it's something that is something that every parent should be sensitive about. In as much as you want your child to grow and you want your child to be strong and independent and make decisions for themselves, it's always good to always know where to protect the children and how to make sure that the child doesn't go through emotional and mental damages as they are scaling and trying to discover themselves as they're going through life. So these are sensitive issues, of which I like that Bovi is talking about it here. So let's go.
And seeing people, I can't stand people being oppressed. So I was like, you know what? I will send my son to boarding because I know the advantages of boarding, but not in this environment. So that's why my son went to boarding, and his first year was a struggle because what I didn't take into consideration was a kid growing up in a black community, landing in a community and seeing only white people, 99%. A kid growing up in the tropical area with warm weather, going there and different weather. And a kid going to boarding house and no parents is around, which I suffered, because the worst thing you can do to a child is abandon them. And you can abandon your child with you in the house. Yeah.
How do you do that?
Go deeper. Go deeper.
Go to your room. Or the kid messed up. Bah, bah, bah. And that child is alone, processing all that pain. That child, starts to feel that spirit of abandonment. Or go and wear your shoe. I will wait for you. And you enter your car.
Let to be that one. No.
Yeah. But maybe.
So all these illustrations that Bovi is giving here, and yes, children are different, and some of them take it lightly, some of them will take it deeper and they are more sensitive to all these kind of situations. Me, I remember most times as a child when I'm being flogged like this and I'm sent to my room to think after being flogged, all that that I was thinking about was how to pack my load and leave the house. I don't know if it happened to, I know a lot of people, it happened to them where they wanted to leave the house after their parents beat them. I'm sure you might have also questioned whether you were truly part of the family one time in your life when your parents beat you. So this is kind of like bringing those memories back. But the difference between what he's saying as at then and now is that these children are actually wiser than we were at that time. These children are more exposed to technology, more exposed to education. So they are even more sensitive to how people are raised in other parts of the world than here. So they might take it deeper and they are more sensitive to these situations than we were at our own childhood. So it's just, there's no manual to how a child will take these things. So we as parents have to be sensitive, and we also remember that in as much as we want to train our children, we need to show them that we love them regardless. So these children don't question whether this parent actually meant well for me or this parent just didn't like me. So it's very, very important. Let's continue though.
Maybe your temperament helped. A child who likes company, you do that to that child, you have hurt that child in ways words cannot describe.
A child can be alone while even you are with the child.
Yes.
So all these things are go to your room, go and stay in your room.
Yeah.
Daddy is busy. It's damaging.
Very damaging. Very, very damaging. Because every child is trying to figure themselves out in the world. So when you raise your voice and tell them, get out, go to your room, you have to make up for a double. That's why the proverb says if the hand will take beat pick, you use another hand.
Bring her back.
You leave them alone, you keep your child malice, you are damaging the child. There's nothing worse than a child feeling unsafe in their own house. Is he happy? Is she sad? Should I ask? And these kids learn how to be manipulative before they can talk.
True.
By crying.
True. That's true.
The crying is, I need your attention. They're not four, they're not knackered, but because they want something, they can't get it, they cry. So kids understand us more than we can ever imagine. You get what I'm saying?
You said something before now, and I would really like you to just delve into it deeply. How do you handle discipline and setting boundaries with your children? Because I remember you talking about, say, Chuchu na video of collision, now they watch cars falling. You had to set things right before something happened. So how do you handle that discipline? How do you send your boundaries with them so that other people will learn? Because these days, to be quite honest with you, a lot of people are mothers and fathers and they have no idea what they're doing.
It's not their fault. Like I said, knowledge is profitable to direct, I think every age comes with how you go about it. Every kid, like from 4 years, they are throwing tantrums.
Yes.
They want to experience the world. They work out with children. See the clean road, see more than water. They will jump on it. It's exploration. At 4, you can't fight that child. or rather you shouldn't fight that child for that. But when a 10-year-old is doing that, you have to say, no. See, you have messed yourself up. You get? A 10-year-old child will process that information better than a 4-year-old. A 4-year-old, leave them. So you see, that's why a 4-year-old will come and be pushing this glass. When it breaks, patch it back. Patch it back. They can't. So now they know that, okay, if you do this, they see fire. Every child that saw fire the first time tried to put their hand in it.
That's so true.
After that, they not tell them again. You know, so it's not to the load picking at certain ages. You have to really let them experience life. Most times guarded. You know,
let them experience life most times, God.
Yeah. You have to.
So how do you approach this one? I dey feel say I go ask her for front, but make I ask her now before I forget. You have a wonderful daughter. We would say now too they speak English plenty on top social media. I have 3 daughters. I dey fear the day my first daughter is gonna be 10 next year. I dey fear the day we she will come sit down with me, say, come they discuss, come say, all those sensitive,
Say it.
Oh, daddy, how do I handle, what is this? This boy is touching me here. How would you approach?
Say it.
What you say?
This is a safe space.
It's not easy for a daddy.
It's not easy. What is your approach to discussing these sensitive topics with
Study
girls?
the temperament of your child. You know, that's why if you study, it's not just for you. It's so that you know how to handle your children. You know, some children are way smarter.
Yes.
My immediate younger brother has always been smarter than me. So there were things he knew before me. And at 3 years, I take senior am. You get what I'm saying? There were things. So when I would go and say, have you heard? Mommy says, he'll be like, hey now. Since now. At a shock, there was something in our family that I discovered at 14. And when I went to him, who was 11, he was like, yeah. There are things I don't remember today, he remembers them. So study, because every child is unique. Every human being is unique. Some will learn some things later. Some will learn it earlier. You get what I'm saying? But don't hoard information, because information is pouring on them without your permission. In schools now, they need devices to learn. You know, not be to draw mosquito for board anymore. You get what I'm saying?
Hibiscus flower.
Just talking about the whole part of study the temperament of your child and know how to handle each of them independently, regardless of their temperament, and how you transmit information to them is very, very important. We see many cases of our parents in the past where they are comparing one child to the other, forgetting that these 2 children are very, very different. They're not born together. They are very different. So we should learn to handle children as they are person, not comparing them to the other one or wondering why they are not acting like their brother or their sister. That's the child, and that's the child's persona. It can't be any other person else. If your child tries to pretend just to make you happy, that's a very wrong move. So it's best we also know how to handle children as they are and not compare them with others. So let's continue.
When my daughter was 8, when she was 8, right? We had just moved to the UK, and so I was like, how's your school? What's it like? She's like, oh well, at first they were having an attitude, but now they are warming up. And I noticed she wasn't talking about color. Who she not like, who she like, she like. She didn't say there was this black girl. You get? So I made sure not to ask in that regard, that because she was one of the only black girls in the school. So I made sure not to ask that, is it because
Of your race.
your color? That's why. She talked about how they were talking about her hair, why she has weaves on and all. So I let her be. Then one day she's like, oh, there's this girl who wants to be her friend now. And the girl said, tomorrow they have to sit together in school, that they will have to sit. So I was like, oh, that's like a date. She's like, no, it's not a date. I'm like, No, I'm just saying it's like, she wants to spend time with you, two of you, it's like a date. She said, Dad, I'm not a lesbian. I shock. You understand? So I'm like, okay, this girl already has sexual orientation that I've not given her or her mom.
How old?
She was 8 at the time. She just told me that I'm not a lesbian. Why are you calling it a date? Which is, you get pretty much, like, she understand beyond. When I was 8, we didn't know any of these. We didn't know any of these.
But now when I did university, I know what they call lesbian.
Or date. We don't even have dating culture in Nigeria.
So was that the point where you went ahead to sit her down to discuss more?
Or you not even discuss it?
I didn't sit her down. I didn't sit her down. I let her be. They asked questions. When they asked the questions, we answered. There are questions they've asked. I can't remember exactly now. My wife called me and say, "Wahala, wahala." I think it was how picking the enter belly. You understand? Say wahala. See what they're asking. I said, don't worry, give it time.
How do you deal with destructive children?
When you say destructive children,
There
what do you
are
mean?
children that are quite
They just want scatter
orderly, but there are children that you can't even have a chair in your house. You have to send all the chairs away. They will deface the walls. They want to jump into the television. So,
That's temperament I was talking about now. There are 4 basic temperaments. I mean, in recent years, they've brought different ones now. So if your kid is a sanguine or a choleric, they're extroverted, they're expressive, they're not fit in one place. If your kid is melancholy or phlegmatic, they are chill. Most of the time, they like structure. So it's about your child. I remember my mom saying before our house, we have sheep. That Tome will be 10 years old. That was my last brother. When my sister she never born at that time self, because our house was always upside down. 4 boys, you get, with very expressive temperaments, basically. So I think you should let children be. You should let at a set.
So this is the part that went viral, where he said you should let children be. When they talk about destructive children, he said you should let children be. Anyway, let's continue.
In age, let them be. My son Chuchu, they break television for the fun of. If he vex, he go, whoa! He would throw stuff and break. So it got to.
TV don't cost.
He said at a certain age you should let them be. I'm sure it means that 4 years and below, because there was a part where he talked about the way a child will process information at 4 is different from the way a child will process information at 10. So as I said, a certain age, it means 4 years and below. But let's go.
It got to the age where he got to, and I saw the remorse in his face. But guess what? I was making video. I can't even feel bad when I post the video, because I was like, this boy really now understands that this thing when they do,
No good.
not good. And it never happened again.
I remember that first one where you post. We get one where you post one time.
That was the 3rd TV. That was the 3rd TV. That one, he broke it by mistake. But now, because he play with stick for Palo, and my daughter tried to stop him. So out of anger, the previous 2, Naim used something, stone him.
You want to enter the TV?
No, he was angry too.
Okay.
And, just throw him. Babe.
Wait, what do you do when you break the first one?
Because
break the second one? What do
I
you
can't
do?
remember exactly now, but basically, that was how he was expressing himself. I don't think he was setting out to say, I want break TV. Now just say, one of them had to do with them changing the channel that he was watching. So maybe, no, now waiting, I want to see, whoop,
Well, he said you should let them be, but this is what I'll say. I'll say, don't let them be. It's always good, even if you don't want to hit the child. It's always good to caution the child and let the child know that what they did at that moment is wrong. You don't have to hit to communicate that with the child. It's you calling the child and let the child see that you are visibly angry with them, and so that they will understand that for every action there are repercussions to their action. That's how I'll handle this situation. Him saying that I should let them be, I'm sure because he has money. Imagine for a parent that it just barely got by to have their television in that house, and say because of that you are a small child, you now want to carry stone and carry stick and throw it. The way the parents will process that particular action is very, very different. Because first of all, how are they going to repair the television? it's a very, very different situation. So him saying you should let them be, I'll say no, don't let them be. Let them know you don't have to hit them, but you have to let them know that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Let's continue.
And I mean, back in the day, they go beat that kind of picking.
Yes.
Well,
This is, but you see, no.
Some kids might have
wait till you go do.
ADHD.
TV.
What if the child has
7
ADHD?
billion.
Oh,
Hey.
the
The
TV
child
is
might have
22
ADHD,
million.
like some.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I
so-
don't want to go into that, but that's what
Yeah,
it is.
that's what it is.
That what?
ADHD.
ADHD.
Okay,
That's the
ADHD.
learning he's talking about, understanding it.
So
From this conversation, it is clear that parenting no be just say you don't born pikin and I'm your father.
No.
because
I
And
even still have ADHD.
because he said the third TV. So after he broke the first one, you didn't say he might break the second one. Let's just leave TV for now until you bought the second one. Okay, did you buy a cheaper one the second time?
No, but thank God for capacity.
Yeah.
Do you
Thank
get?
God, though.
If I couldn't afford another TV, then the approach would have been totally
Na
different.
anger of say where the money go come from.
That's
They
vex.
slap the pikin.
Yeah, you know. That's why I tell people you are very correct. Most times when we hit kids, check. Are you really trying to correct them or you are frustrated? Do you get? Are you really trying to correct them or you are frustrated? So, yes, I don't advocate for beating children or flogging children, right? But I advocate for calling them and saying, do you know what you did now? This is what you did. And this is your punishment. You are going to bring your hand. I'm going to give you 12 strokes of the cane. Is it painful? It's 11 that is remaining. Please, I promise I want to take. Are you sure? Oh, yeah, keep this cane. Any day I tell you, bring it. Know that. You are collecting 11 plus the new 12.
Wow.
Guess what? They go see error.
Okay, this is the thing about social media. This part was never made it to social media, so nobody could see what is said here. And this is exactly what I just said, where you have to make the child realize what they did was wrong, and also have to make sure that they understand that there are consequences for every action that they take. Very, very important. And you see what Bovi did here. The part that went online, of course, just a little part of it. The full context was not digested and it was not publicized online, but this is what he said. And exactly how I also view the situation as a parent. Never try to transfer aggression. Never try to correct a child in anger. Correct them out of love. Even if they made you angry, before you react to that particular situation, try to digest it and also correct them out of love. It's very, very important. So let's listen.
But it could reduce. Do you get? It could reduce because all the flog with the flog us, what difference did it make? It really didn't make any difference. It didn't. It just taught us to be abusive. How so? Every child is absorbing. What you say is like number 3 on the list. They are watching, they are feeling. Those things they store somewhere. So you see some of our traumas pop up later in life. You're not going to know. He did a sins. He did a sin. So Peking go don't misbehave before you know. Wait. You don't say, man, this Peking, now my egg. Why? You are giving what you were giving.
See, this is exactly what I said in some part of this video where I talked about people's trauma reflecting later in life because of how they were raised. It's very, very important. And Bovi, right here, we see a very emotionally intelligent parent here talking about it and how he's parenting his children. This is not like a straightforward manual of how every parent is supposed to take care of their child, because every child is different, remember. But it's very, very good that we understand that these children are also having their own emotions and discovering themselves. So it's important that whatever we expose them to or whatever we react and give to them is something that they can assimilate and digest well in love, and understand that this is not spawned out of hate or out of being abusive. I said this earlier and he's just reiterating what I said. But of course, this was the context to which he said this on the Honest Bunch podcast. And the way these online social media, everybody is taking it is very, very different, because they could only see one side of the story and didn't see the other side of the story. That is why it is very important that we check the whole package and read all the whole chapters of the book before airing our own opinion on this. Very, very important to do that, because that's how social media always knows how to push out one context or push out one side of the story without giving us the full picture. Very important. And also, because of the whole backlash from this particular podcast, Bovi has come online and has explained better and thrown more highlights to why his son was behaving in the way he was behaving. You could see that the lady there, the Gen Z lady in their midst, mentioned ADHD, and he said that he didn't want to talk about that, but that's what it is, ADHD. So I think he said something about why his son behaved like that to the public. He didn't have to, but he decided that he wanted to bring more context to the whole thing, and he said that. So let's just read what Bovi said on the whole situation. This is what he said. I don't trigger angry people because of the phrase I used. For the fun of it, make una no vex. In trying to color my point, I have offended a shallow mob. You don't have to agree with me. If you have children you want to beat, enjoy. My papa no physically beat me and I turned out okay. My child had a speech impediment and a communication problem that's only starting to improve. F all of you. So the whole Breaking TV saga, Bovi had to also come out to explain that one of the things why his child reacted the way he was because he had a speech impediment, and because he was slow to speech, he had to react in different ways to just make his point. And one of them was throwing tantrums and hitting the TV, and the TV broke. So these are just to bring more light to the situation so that people can digest this thing better and understand the situation in what Bovi was saying. But in all, what I believe here is I agree with Bovi in everything. Listening to it in full context, I agree with Bovi and how Bovi is handling the situation and controlling his children. Children don't have to be beaten for you to pass the message. I had to even learn in my adulthood that you don't have to shout to make a point. I had to learn it in my adulthood. When I grew up, any little thing I used to raise my voice to make my points. I had to learn it in my adulthood that you don't have to shout to make a point. So it's important that we all know this, that you can communicate better with children without having to hit them. And you can also communicate better with your own fellow spouses and your colleagues without having to shout or be aggressive, because that's almost the nature of Nigerians as we know it, which is all wrong notions. And so it's important that we all need to unlearn some certain things to learn some certain things. But anyway, this is my own 2 cents. Tell me what you think about the whole situation. Is Bovi a good parent? Is he a bad parent? And guys, yeah, I'd like to hear from you in the comment section. Until next time, peace.